What's going on, Geminites? It's your boy Gem Mint. We're here with the custom Spawn statue. We're going to do an unboxing, an assembly, a review, and if you stay tuned to the end, I'm going to tell you how this statue came to be, and trust me, it's a doozy. Alright, since these customs don't have any art boxes, let's just go ahead and do an aerial view of what's inside. It's just going to be black styrofoam, I'm sure. So, the thing with this piece is that the cape is humongous. I'm really hoping that it's not damaged. And it looks like it's got a ton of packing here. Alright, let's just empty this out into like a laundry basket here. I saw pictures of this cape and it was like as big as a 1/3 scale statue. Dang, that is a huge cape, guys. Look at this thing. Huge key. Let's put this bad boy down. Whew, that was a workout, man. Let's take out, I think this is the cross that goes on the base. Alright, there goes the cross. I like how it's painted, very stone looking. Almost like, what's that stuff called? I don't know. Lime something? Limestone. That's what I was thinking of. Alright, let's take a look here. Looks like we have an unmasked portrait. Al Simmons, Fresh from Hell, aka Hamburger Head, aka Deadpool Stole My Look. Deadpool might have came out first. So I'm liking that. Here's the masked head. Looking good. Alright, here's the body. Good sized body, good weight to it. I'm already liking the colors and the textures and the spikes on the big foot with the huge peg, big metal rod. Right, here goes one of the arms, or the hands I should say. No finger breaks. Nice details and weathering, looking good. Here's another one of the hands. No breakages. I thought they were going to have to make the fingers webbed. Can I get a focus in here or what? But it looks like they didn't have to do that. This is the collar to the cape. This tape ain't no joke. Alright, just the collar, no biggie. Alright, here is the switch out hand with the axe. Wow, pretty heavy. Cool. Now last up, we have the base. This base is heavy, man. Got a skull base. Simmons on the bottom. Prototype out of 50 and a Henry Stewart. We'll talk more about that later. Alright, so we got all the pieces out on the table. It's not that many pieces, but that cape was crazy to get out the box. Let's go ahead and assemble this, and then we'll get the camera right so we can get all of Spawn in there, because I know it's not going to show with the cape the way it is right now. So let's see. First we need to put in the cross. Like so. Then we need to get Spawn up in here. Fits like a glove. Alright, now I understand that the head has to go on before the cape. Unfortunately, there was no other way to do it. Alright, got the masked head in there. Let's go ahead and plug in this cape and then make some space. Alright, let's get this framed up a little bit better. Dang, that cape is massive for real. Look at that, man. Now let's put the collar on him. The collar hides the seams pretty nicely. Let's get his hand that goes onto the cross. All right. And let's put on the last hand. Whew. That to me is the best looking quarter scale Spawn I've ever seen. Dang, look at that, man. Alright, so we got a couple switch outs. The only thing is, like I said, I think we have to take the whole cape off to get to that head. So let's talk about the piece before we start doing the switch outs. First of all, Spawn is one of my favorite characters growing up. He's one of the comics that I would pick up in single issues when I was like 11 years old or 12 years old. Created by Todd McFarlane. It's his creation that he had before he even was with DC or Marvel. When he broke off on his own to found Image Comics, that's what he launched as his title, Spawn, which is still ongoing to today. Actually, today, issue 299 came out, and issue 300 is right around the corner. Spawn's real name is Al Simmons. Really good storyline to this, and then, of course, Todd McFarlane had great artwork, which really made the comic popular in the 90s. There was one movie out which I really enjoyed. It didn't really age well, but Michael J. White and John Leguizamo, with also a cameo by Todd McFarlane as one of the homeless characters. I really enjoyed that movie growing up. There's supposed to be a reboot with Jamie Foxx playing Al Simmons, but I heard that got delayed. And honestly, I was never really into the whole premise of it being like a horror movie and Spawn not having a lot of dialogue and things like that. This was sculpted by Macon Andrande. And it looks almost like a hybrid of the movie costume and the comic costume. Some elements like the mask remind me of the movie, and the legs and the arms remind me more of the comic book with the reds. Getting into the review of this piece, I really like the skull base and the tones that they did on the skulls and the dirt. It's got like a brown vibe, which contrasts well with this limestone cross. I think that is a really good look. I like the sculpt on these skulls, even on the back, where you can see some of the top of the mouth poking out and some of the bottom. Some of them don't have a bottom jaw. It looks really cool. I love the detail on Spawn. He's got that big circular boot on his right foot, and it pegs in perfectly. Really good coloring and texturing on the reds and the metallic look of the spikes. Macon sculpted some texture in the thighs, as you can see, to make the suit look like it's a little bit more organic. I think it's the same quality painting on the arms and wrists as well. Love the big, huge arm that he's got going on there. The skull's on Spawn on his collarbones and on his waist. So same kind of coloring and texture as the base. He's got a real chain going across the skulls on the top as well. I think that's a good touch. The cape, they used a fabric, a material that doesn't feel very fragile, which is good for something like this. I mean, look, the width of this thing is incredible. So, speaking of which, we'll get the measuring tape out just to see how wide it actually is. Then you have the portrait. I really like the lime green eyes. It gives a good contrast to the rest of it. He does have this seam on his collar here that it could have been done a little bit better. I mean, it's not terrible, but I might have to play with it a little bit more to see if I can get it in a little bit more tight, because it looks a little like there's a slight little space right there. But anyway, back to the cape. I mean, it has some good shadowing with blacks on top of this red here. I like the different fold here. You don't see a seam really with that collar. The way that it's cut and sculpted looks good. And yeah, this big arm, man, this big kind of gauntlet he's got on looks really good as well. Let's measure him real quick. So the width of this, it looks like it's about 28 inches wide. And now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure that's what it is, because the box, we had to make it like 30 inches wide or 29 inches wide. The height of it, it looks like it goes up to the top of his collar, 28 inches tall. So it's like a big square if you look at the dimensions. The width is not too wide. It looks like it's the base and the cape. It's about 15 inches deep. So this is definitely not going to fit in a Besta. Luckily, I don't have Bestas anymore. But yeah, let's switch this out. Okay, so you just have to take out the collar. Or maybe not. Alright, so man, they put a really strong magnet in that axe hand. And I remember what the factory was going through with that. They were saying that the way it was sculpted, it wasn't going to hold. They had to kind of do the key for it. And they put like a rod that's a magnet, which is kind of crazy. So nice strong magnet. That axe is a really nice touch. And I like how the green in the axe matches the eyes on both portraits, so they both go together. And the seam looks way better on the unmasked portrait than on the masked. Maybe I just got to fool with it a little bit when I have to go back after this and take more pictures. So, man, that's it with the switch outs. Now, the moment you guys have all been waiting for, I'm going to tell you how this statue came to be and why the base says Henry Stewart. So Henry Stewart is somebody who used to commission statues. He paid Macon to sculpt this with the intention to produce it and sell it and make a profit. That was Henry Stewart's goal. He also was commissioning an Agent Venom, also sculpted by Macon, and he has released a Punisher piece that was sculpted by, I'm pretty sure it's Franco Carlissimo. So, Henry had problems back with his first piece with the Punisher. There was rumors, and they were confirmed that he got the statues made by the factory. Then he filed a PayPal claim against the factory. He won. He got the money. He got the statues. He got everything. So needless to say, I was already a little bit nervous about me paying for Agent Venom in full, $750. I paid him first just the deposit, but being that he released a piece and there was prototypes and stuff of Agent Venom, I was comfortable with sending the rest of the money. And I always send friends and family. I know that's people in the comments will probably say you never do that, but man, in this hobby, I look at it like by the time a pre-order is taken and done, usually you're past the limitations to file a claim anyway. And I don't know, I just was always I'm always very trustworthy. It's the first time I ever got scammed. So, spoiler alert, Henry decided one day to block everybody. Everybody who had pre-orders with him, everybody who paid for stuff in full, with no reason, no nothing, he just blocks everybody. He still has a Facebook, mind you. Actually, here's a picture of him right here. Good old scamming Henry Stewart. So he blocks everybody, doesn't say anything, and people start to get nervous. People start to hit him up. He doesn't reply. He blocks anybody who reaches out to him. So you know what Facebook does? They start looking at who's on his friends list, who's he related to. People start hitting up his girl, where she works. And I heard through the grapevine that he didn't like that. Well, Henry, we didn't like it when you stole all of our money, but, you know, what are you going to do? One of the other customers who got scammed, Jonathan, he hit me up. He's like, Jen, what are we going to do? We got to do something. We can't let this ride. And I was almost ready to give up, man, because I'm like, what are you going to do, man? I had a detective on it. I had a lot going on. I was calling him out on all kinds of social media, trying to get him to come out of his hole, you know? And Jonathan hits me up and he goes, yo, I told Macon, the sculptor, what happened. And Macon was like, well, shit, even though he paid me, if he's not going to deliver the statues, then f it. You guys can have the files and you guys can get it produced by yourself. So Jonathan hit me up and he was like, you know, he knows I got the plug. So I was like, you know what I'm going to do? The best way to get back at old Scamming Henry, I'm going to produce this statue at cost. Non-profit for everyone who got scammed, for anybody who wants it. We're going to produce this spawn piece at cost, no profit on my end, and it's going to be the cheapest custom statue you can get because no one's trying to add profit on top of it. So that's what we did. We took pre-orders for this, which was a low dollar amount just to get the initial printed. I paid out of pocket for the prototype because that's what I'm keeping, which costs more than the actual production pieces. I think the prototype might have cost me like $600 or $800 or something like that. The production pieces I think are like $500, which normally a custom statue like this would probably go for $800 to $1,000 easily. We had a shipping snafu, but we kind of figured it out. Anyway, word got back to Henry what we were doing, and he got mad at us. He hit up Macon like, well, I paid you for the renders. Why would you give them out for free? It's like, bitch, because you scammed everyone. Anyway, he got mad. He didn't like it, so he hit up McFarlane Toys. McFarlane Toys hit me up on Facebook, which I always felt like, how legitimate is this? I mean, I know it says the person worked at McFarlane Toys, but I'm like, wouldn't you like do a cease and desist like through the mail, like not on Facebook Messenger? Anyway, the lady said cease and desist, and I responded back with what happened. I said, look, man, she wanted to know how much money we've profited off of the Spawn statue. I said nothing. This is a community project to help people that were scammed by the person who reported me to you in the first place. So she said something along the lines of, oh, okay, I'll look into this and I'll get back to you after the holidays. This was like December of 2018. So I never heard of anything. I continued to move forward because I figured, what the hell, man? I'm not making any profit off of this. We're just doing this as a fan community project. And that's what happened. So we put Henry Stewart on the base to give him a little shout out. So every piece that goes out, he'll know that he's getting some love on it. Some people didn't really want that because they were like, I don't want negative, attention to the piece. I don't want a negative vibe on the statue. So we didn't put them on everyone, but like 90% of them have Henry Stewart on the bottom. That being said, we put a pre-order up and we got 50 people who wanted one. We capped it at 50, so there's 51 of them out there. It's going to be including this prototype. The Agent Venom, we did the same thing, and that's coming next, but I think only about 25 people really were into that. It was more of the principle for me. Like, you think you could just take my money and disappear and there's no consequences? Nah, bro. We're going to go ahead and produce these statues. People are going to get them at cost. People are going to be happy. It was a cool learning experience for us because this is kind of how I learned this whole process of custom statues and getting them made, building a relationship with customers, with the factory, with sculptors. So that was a cool project. Franco, who did a Wolverine that was to companion that Punisher, he was willing to give us the file for that as well, but it was really early work of his, and he really wanted to refine it. So I didn't really want to rush him. And if he doesn't end up wanting to give us the file, that's fine. I think, we got Henry back good with producing these pieces, man. Let me know what you think about the Spawn statue in the comments below. Drop me that like on the way out. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more daily content, which includes getting brand new custom statues made out of spite, comic book reviews, movie reviews, and more. But most importantly, stay minty fresh. Peace.